The night buzzed with noise, clinking glasses, laughter that didn't quite reach anyone's heart, and a pulse of music that tried to drown out loneliness. Under the neon haze of a crowded downtown bar, Alicia Monroe, one of the city's youngest and most powerful CEOs, sat hunched over her glass. Her name meant power, control, confidence, yet tonight, none of those masks fit. Her eyes were red, her mascara slightly smudged, and the edge of her voice trembled as she muttered, "Just one more drink." She wasn't supposed to be here. CEOs didn't crumble in public. But she had spent months fighting battles no one saw, an acquisition gone wrong, betrayal from a trusted partner, and the slow suffocation of expectations. Tonight, she just wanted to stop being Alicia Monroe, the invincible. She just wanted to be human. What would you do, a voice might ask, if this were a film trailer, if the person everyone admired was breaking right in front of you and you were the only one who noticed? That was when Daniel Hayes saw her. He sat at the far corner of the bar, a quiet observer with tired eyes and a gentle presence. His clothes were simple, a faded jacket, jeans that had seen better days. He wasn't here for fun, he was here for escape. A single father to a 7-year-old girl named Lily, Daniel was a man who carried the world on his shoulders but never complained. His wife had passed away years ago, and since then, he'd lived for one thing, to make sure Lily never felt the emptiness he did. He wasn't supposed to get involved. He never did. But tonight was different. Alicia had drawn attention, the wrong kind. A group of men nearby had noticed her staggering and saw an opportunity. They approached, pretending to flirt, their voices dripping with false charm. One brushed her hair off her shoulder, another reached for her arm. She tried to pull away, muttering, "Please, just leave me alone," but they laughed, circling closer. That was when Daniel stood up. He didn't shout, didn't threaten. He just walked over and placed himself between her and the men. Calm but unshakable. She said no, he said firmly, eyes steady. The tallest man sneered. "You her boyfriend or something?" "No," Daniel replied, voice low and controlled, "just someone who doesn't like bullies." The air turned heavy. For a second, it looked like fists would fly, but the bartender, sensing trouble, called security. The men backed off, cursing under their breath, leaving Alicia trembling against the counter. Daniel turned to her gently, "Hey, you okay?" Her voice was barely a whisper. Why did you help me?" He smiled faintly. "Because you look like someone who needed a reason to believe good people still exist." He made sure she got into a cab safely, paid the driver, and watched the car disappear into the streetlights. He didn't even ask her name. He just hoped she'd be all right. The next morning, Alicia woke up in her penthouse, head pounding, shame clawing at her chest. Her assistant told her a stranger had helped her get home. That image, a quiet man with kind eyes, flashed in her mind, and for some reason, it stayed. Days passed, but Alicia couldn't shake it off. She returned to her marble office, sat behind glass walls overlooking the city, and stared at her reflection. Everyone around her still bowed, still feared her, but for the first time, she wondered, what's the point of being powerful if you feel empty inside? A week later, destiny crossed paths again. Her company was hosting a charity drive for single parents seeking jobs. Alicia was supposed to make a speech routine, rehearsed, forgettable. But when she stepped on stage and looked down at the crowd, her words froze. There, in the middle of the hall, stood the same man from that night, Daniel Hayes. He looked different in daylight, tired but dignified, holding a folder of documents in one hand. Their eyes met, and everything else fell away. After the event, she found him near the exit. "You," she said softly, "you were at the bar." He smiled. "I wasn't sure if you'd remember." "I remember more than I want to," she admitted. "You saved me." He shrugged. "You don't need saving. You just needed someone to remind you you're human." They talked. He told her about Lily, about struggling to find work, about how life had turned him into a man who kept moving even when everything fell apart. And for the first time in years, Alicia listened, not as a CEO, not as a woman defending her image, but as someone craving honesty. Over the next few weeks, she helped Daniel get a position at her company. At first, he refused, pride and fear clashing in his chest, but eventually, he accepted. Slowly, they built a friendship, one layered with gratitude and quiet admiration. She helped him rediscover confidence, He helped her find peace and simplicity, but life doesn't stay kind for long. When the media learned that the country's most powerful female CEO was romantically linked to a widowed single father, a man who once rescued her drunk, they turned it into scandal. Headlines called her reckless, questioned her judgment, even accused Daniel of using her for gain. Investors panicked. The board demanded she end it. Alicia stood in her glass office one night, staring at the city below, the empire she'd built now trembling under gossip and greed. Daniel entered quietly, worry in his eyes. "I can walk away," he said. "If it keeps you safe." She turned to him, tears glistening. "I've spent my whole life trying to look strong. But I think the first time I was ever truly strong was when I let you help me." He stepped closer, took her hand gently. "Then don't hide now." The next morning, Alicia faced the media head-on. Cameras flashed, questions flew, and she stood there, not as a flawless CEO, but as a woman unafraid of truth. "Yes," she said calmly, "a man once helped me when I was at my lowest. And I won't apologize for finding strength in kindness." That single moment changed everything. Some people criticized her. Others admired her courage. But the world couldn't deny her humanity anymore. Months later, Alicia's company had rebranded itself around compassion and integrity, leading initiatives to help single parents, young entrepreneurs, and women in crisis. Her leadership became an example of strength through vulnerability. One evening, in a quiet park, Daniel sat beside her on a wooden bench while Lily ran around chasing butterflies. Alicia leaned her head on his shoulder, smiling softly. "You know," she whispered, "that night at the bar. I thought I was falling apart." Daniel looked at her, his voice warm. "Maybe sometimes you have to fall apart, so you can fall into the right person's life." The sun dipped low, painting the world in gold. The narrator's voice would fade in, gentle and reflective. "Sometimes heroes don't come in suits. Sometimes they just show up, quietly, when no one else will. And sometimes, saving someone doesn't mean fighting the world for them. It means standing by them while they fight it themselves." And as the screen fades to black, you're left with a truth that lingers, that even in a world of noise, one act of decency can rewrite two broken lives into one story of healing, courage, and love.